Pursuant to notice, I now call up H.R. 1000, the Cyber PIVOTT Act. The bill was circulated in advance and printed copies are available. The clerk shall designate the bill.
H.R. 1000, to amend the Homeland Security Act of 2002 to provide for education and training programs and resources of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency of the Department of Homeland Security and for other purposes.
Without objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with and it's considered read and open to amendment at any point. I recognize myself for 5 minutes to speak on the bill. Just 5 short months ago, we convened here to mark up H.R. 1000, the Cyber PIVOTT Act. It's a striking coincidence that the bill number 1000 so closely echoes our goal of training 10,000 cybersecurity professionals per year. I'm hoping that's a good sign. Addressing the nation's cyber workforce shortage has been a top priority for me since I assumed this gavel, and I know I'm not the only one passionate about this issue. It is a shared priority which enabled us to pass the Cyber PIVOTT Act out of committee unanimously last year with a vote of 27-0. Cybersecurity is often viewed as one of the bipartisan areas where Congress can get things done, and our committee is often complimented for the serious tone we bring to cyber discussions. Indeed, it isn't often that a witness endorses the bill of the opposing side in the middle of a hearing, something we saw just 2 weeks ago. Ranking Member Thompson, our level of bipartisanship on cybersecurity has always encouraged me, and I hope we preserve this bipartisan spirit as we mark up the Cyber PIVOTT Act again today. Given the bill flew through committee the last time, we reintroduced the same bill with 2 small clarifications about eligibility. Ranking Member Thompson, I truly appreciate your support and collaboration on this bill. As you said back in September, and I quote, "I'm glad to see his focus on this important issue before Congress. I appreciate the chairman's willingness to consider Democratic feedback on this bill, particularly with regard to making high-need critical infrastructure sections eligible for the program's internship program as it progresses through the legislative process," end quote. As we heard in our last full committee hearing, rural areas are some of the most affected. They struggle to attract and retain cybersecurity talent and often do not have the resources to ensure the implementation of basic cybersecurity practices. Expanding internship opportunities in rural areas and for high-risk critical infrastructure sectors was therefore an important inclusion that will make our workforce more prepared and our nation safer. Students will provide huge value add to these communities while getting hands-on experience that they can carry into their careers. And I also want to thank Mr. Swalwell for his support of the bill last Congress and the many discussions he and I have had on this subject. Specifically, I appreciate his recognition that we must offer alternative pathways to 4-year degrees for our cyber professionals. As he said, Mr. Chairman, I support this and your efforts to try and increase the talent that we can put into the workforce, and also recognizing that not all cyber professionals have to have a costly college degree, that there are a number of jobs in cyber that do not require a 4-year degree. We need them to simply have the technical skills and the experience to defend against 21st century threats, end quote. The Cyber PIVOTT Act ensures students receive hands-on experience through skill-based exercises right in their own communities. PIVOTT scholarships utilize community colleges, technical schools, and other educational institutions that offer pathways for students to pivot to cyber quickly and get them ready to work. By working with partners across all levels of government and the private sector, program participants should leave with the skills they need to identify and defend us against the 21st century threats that concern all of us. I'm proud of how this bill has taken shape, thanks in part to your feedback, and I'm proud of all the people, all the support that we have gathered in the process. In addition to the tens of organizations that supported Cyber PIVOTT during our reintroduction, we have 14 additional organizations that have endorsed the bill. I'd like to submit statements for the record from Tenable, Plymouth State University, Tenny Mountain, Certified D, 50H Consulting, MACE, and 6P, in addition to thanking Google, Fortinet, Vanderbilt University, the National Cybersecurity Alliance, NTCA, the Rural Broadband Association, Knowledge Management, Inc., KMI, and SAFE Security for their support. Without objection, so ordered. I would also like to thank my co-sponsors, Representatives Guest, Garbarino, Jimenez, Higgins, Strong, Biggs, Evans, Gonzalez, Molinar, Rogers, and Ezell, as well as Senators Rounds and Peters, for introducing a bipartisan companion legislation in the Senate. As our nation faces increased threats to its networks and critical infrastructure from cybersecurity threats, there could not be a more urgent time to build a pipeline of professionals. We're moving fast on this legislation because there is simply no time to waste. I look forward to working with all of my Homeland colleagues to reduce the cyber workforce gap, and I hope you will vote yes for the Cyber Pivot Act and favorably refer it out of committee.